That has stumped Toronto police for decades despite having DNA evidence from the crime scene. So 24-year-old Donna Oglieve was a sex trade worker from BC. She also spent time here in Toronto and was found strangled in a parking lot in the Jarvis and Carleton area back in March of 1998. Oglieve was the mother of a toddler at the time. She was also pregnant. 4 months pregnant on the night she was murdered. So police announcing today that the murder suspect, Ronald Ackerman, now 50 years old, was arrested after stepping off a plane at Pearson Airport on Wednesday night. Investigators say he had been living in Newfoundland and was traveling back and forth from Alberta working in the oil sands. But back in 1998, he was living in Toronto in the Scarborough area working as a truck driver. Now, once again, police, they had male DNA from the crime scene 26 years ago. But over the years, there was never a match in the national database. Investigators say it was genetic genealogy that finally cracked the case. Have a listen.
We were able to, in 2022, utilize investigative genetic genealogy that led us to the offender's family. We were able to collect a DNA sample and prove that Mr. Ackerman was the person responsible for the death of Ms. Oglieve. We've had the DNA for a number of years, but obviously there was no hit on the National DNA Data Bank for us. That's why we've hoped to expand our NDDB to get some more hits. But we didn't have that, so we had to employ IGG. And it's been in about the last year that we've really narrowed it down and been able to confirm Mr. Ackerman as the offender.
Now, Ackerman is facing a charge of first-degree murder, and is now being held pending a bail hearing here in Toronto. And investigators say they are now in touch with other jurisdictions just to see if there is any, if this suspect could potentially be tied to any other murders.
A month ago, the Lord said cold cases would explode back into the public eye. He said all these lost bodies, people who they put their body into the foundation of the house and then built the house on top of them, hiding murders, hiding this and hiding that. He said old cases. And see all the old cases now. It's the top thing. Everybody's podcasting about 30 years ago. Yeah, God says it may be entertainment to the masses, but God is saying that he's giving these dead bodies rest. He's going after the perpetrators. Even if the perpetrator is dead, God is going to make sure that your name is smeared on NBC, CBC, and all the C's. He will make sure that your dirt comes out so that you don't rest in peace, but you rest in infamy and shame, which you deserve for killing people. Dead bodies will speak, he said. But this thing here,
more than 2-decade-old murder has been solved, according to Suffolk County's cold case unit. Jennifer McLogan covers Long Island and says a retired cop never gave up pursuing justice for this nearly 90-year-old victim.
Nieces and nephews of the slain retired widow appeared overcome with relief, saying they never thought the day would come that their 88-year-old aunt's cold case murder from the year 2003 would be solved.
Just thankful to the whole department for what they've done.
Who would want to harm this wonderful woman, they asked. Her husband had died. They had no children of their own, but she was a beacon for all the kids on Frederick Avenue.
She would allow them to ride her bikes in the driveway. They would come in for snacks. She helped them with their math homework. Again, she was the grandma of the neighborhood.
Edna Schubert was savagely beaten to death inside her Bayshore home. Evidence left behind was gathered, but no suspect ID'd at the time. It remained unsolved, uncharged. This retired detective from the cold case unit, Pat Albergo, never gave up.
Detective Albergo called, and that call resulted in a re-examination of all the evidence in the case with modern technology. It was learned that the defendant was alive and was living in Georgia. He was currently 51 years old. He was 29 years of age at the time of the murder. Back in 2003, the defendant lived just around the corner from Miss Schubert, less than 200 yards away.
Fingerprints, blood DNA, evidence from pantyhose and a white shirt matched Raul Ayala, whose prints were in the database from a prior DWI. He appeared shocked when brought from Georgia to Suffolk County and indicted for the murder of the grandma of Frederick Avenue. A sign language interpreter was brought into the proceeding. The suspect does not hear or speak. Pleading not guilty, he's being held without bail in this nearly 22-year-old cold case murder. In Riverhead, Jennifer McLogan, CBS News, New York.